Hello, thank you for joining this month's Connect with Control M session. My name is Melvin Abraham, and I'll be your facilitator for this webinar. Today, we will be demonstrating how to manage jobs using viewpoints, history, and versioning in Control M. We have three presenters lined up today from the Control M support team: Alex Phillips, Brooks Gillis, and Juan Francois Russell. We recommend going to the full screen mode during this presentation by pressing the full screen button. Please note that this presentation is available via the Files pod at the bottom of your screen, and for any questions you may have during the presentation, please post them to the Q&A pod, and we'll be addressing your questions at the end of the session. Today, we will go through demonstrations that will look at job viewpoints, history domain, and version history. Afterwards, we'll give you the opportunity to provide your feedback. Then we'll take your questions during the Q&A session. For our first demonstration, Alex Phillips is going to show us how to create and manage customized viewpoints. Alex, please go ahead.
Thank you so much for the introduction. Today, I'll be going over the scenario of, as an operator, I need to see all reporting jobs as they end not okay, grouped by server and folder name, so I can identify any critical job failures in real time. So first of all, we'll go to our monitoring domain, and up top, the Tools tab and Viewpoint Manager. As you can see here, it already brings you a list of viewpoints. By default, you're already gonna have some viewpoints created. In this case, we're gonna go ahead and create a new viewpoint. We're gonna give the viewpoint a name. In this case, we're gonna call it reporting jobs not okay. For hierarchy, this is how you organize your viewpoint. Since we want to do by Control server and folder name, if you select here, it already gives you some options. You can also create a new one. In this case, by folder, it already has this what we're looking for, which is the server and folder. If you select here, you can edit. It gives you plenty of options to choose from. But in this case, it already has the Control M and folder, which is what we're looking for. So we're just gonna go ahead and cancel this. And under filter, it already also contains some filters by default: all active jobs, all jobs, and not okay, and did okay, and waiting jobs. Since it doesn't have what we're looking for, we're gonna go ahead and create a new one. We're gonna give our filter a name. We'll also call it reporting jobs not okay. And under filter, we're gonna add new to include in our filter. So under field, it has plenty of options that you can choose from. In this case, since we want to do reporting jobs that ended not okay, we'll choose job name. And we'll do like, and we'll put report. So that way, any job name that contains report within the name will be included in our filter. And we'll add another filter to also contains the jobs that ended not okay. So we'll go ahead and select job status equals, and it already gives you some options. So in this case, we're only going to use the ended not okay. Select OK. And we're not going to use the exclude filter for this case scenario. So we'll go ahead and click save. There is also a collection that we're not going to be using for this case scenario. So we're going to save our viewpoint. And as you can see here under the viewpoints, you already display the viewpoint we created. And up top, it organizes by either collection, filter, or hierarchy. So if you click example filter, it's going to show you all the filters, also the ones we just created, which contains the job name and status, job status. You can also use these filters for other viewpoints. So we'll go ahead and close this out. And under monitoring, if we go to all viewpoints, you can see that the viewpoint we created, it's already being displayed. So we'll go ahead and select our viewpoint. We're going to expand this. As you can see, it's by Contrem server and then folder name. So it's containing all the jobs that have report within the name that ended not okay. I'll also go over doing the viewpoint on the web. For that, we'll go to the monitoring, viewpoints. As you can see here, the web is not displaying any viewpoint. That's because the viewpoint is not shared within the client and the web. So we'll go ahead and have to create a new one on the web as well. Grouping is like your hierarchy, is how the viewpoint is organized. In this case, it has Control-M, application, and sub-application. Since we want to do by server and folder, we're going to remove the application and sub-application. And we're going to go ahead and add. It gives you the options. We'll select folder. And as a filter, it's currently only displaying these options, but you can add and remove fields as you click here. And the ones that are check mark are the ones that are currently being displayed. You can add and remove them as you wish. We'll go ahead and click done. For our case scenario, we want to use job name and job status. So we'll go ahead and do the same thing. We'll put report as job name and job status ended not okay. For Control server, we're just gonna go ahead and select all. And this is all we're gonna need for a case scenario. So I'm gonna go ahead and click open. And then this is displaying the same filter information that we created within the client. So it has all the reporting jobs that ended not okay. So to save our viewpoint, we'll click here, save, give the web viewpoint a name. We'll call it the same thing, report ended not okay. And it saved our viewpoint. So if you close this out, go to viewpoint, you can see it has the web viewpoint we just created. And that's going to be all for my demonstration. Thank you so much, and back to you, Melvin.
All right. Thank you, Alex, for showing us how to use job viewpoints in Control M Client and how to customize it to meet specific requirements. For our next one is about job history, logs, and outputs. We have Brooks Gillis, who is going to lead us through this demonstration on Control M's history domain. Take it away, Brooks.
Hello, and thank you for the introduction. Today, I will be demonstrating how we can review status and output of a job that ran yesterday. I will also show how to check the jobs that ran before and after, and we'll see how they performed. Let's go over here into our Enterprise Manager. I will demonstrate this first in the thick client, and then we will show how to do this in the web interface later in the demonstration. Let's click on our history domain. As you can see here, yesterday is shown by default. I'm going to click on all days, and that will show the last 3 days because I have my max old day retention parameter set to 3 days. So that's all you're going to see here. I will show you how to adjust this in the configuration manager later in the demonstration. So let's click here and take a look at yesterday's jobs. All right, so there's a couple different things to note here. We can expand this out by clicking each one of these individually. There's the navigation tree here on this side. And then, of course, you could just click Expand All from there. There's also a drop down here. You can create a customizable filter, view all active jobs, all jobs, ended not okay, ended okay, waiting, etc. So if we do waiting, right, closes that, expand all, and it only shows us the cyclic. Jobs, expand all, and now we're back here. If you have moved things around or get a little discombobulated for you, you can always click rearrange, and it will essentially bring your view back to something like this. You can change the hierarchy here by going to application, sub-application, smart folder, and jobs, which look the same because I don't have this as a smart folder. You have a couple items up here to check. This is how you switch to the Gantt display to give you a chart looking like that. List, a lot of folks find this helpful because there's a whole bunch of headers or headings there that you can search and filter by, as you can see here. And then to filter, we can right click, do the sort, filter editor, or even type right in there, delete, and it shows what we're looking for right here. Now, another great option is the find, right? So click there, and let's say we want to find the copied job. It'll show you down here in the search results. You click there, it highlights it up here. And what's really great and helpful about that is if you go back to the map view, you can see here it is already highlighted for us. I'm going to go out our find and search results there. Another great tool that we can use here is playback. This will actually allow us to move ahead and back in the whole system. As you can see here, there's the play controls. Mine goes from 0600, 10 seconds to 0600, 8 seconds. This is because that's how my new day is set. Your times up there will reflect however your new day is configured. If you are looking for a job that executed or was running at an exact particular time that you know, you can just click right up in here and drag it to, or put in the numbers of where you need it to go. Or you can even drag this slider across, and as you can see, you can go to any point during the day. I'm going to go ahead and drag it all the way to the beginning.
Now let's click on play so we can see a visualization of how the jobs ran and look for any problems that may have occurred throughout the day.
There we go, the goods, copies to backup, then deletes. In just a second. Yep, there we go. And then you can see the cyclic demo, waiting, executing, good, waiting, executing, good. And it'll just keep doing that all day. You do have the option to move it up. These are the units, either events or seconds. So if you wanted to have it advance every 5 minutes or every 2 minutes, you can put it in seconds and then put 120 there, and it'll advance every 2 minutes throughout the day. That a lot of people find this really helpful, especially if someone comes to you asking for information about when a job ran or did the jobs run on time. You can go right back here and see how things were going during that time frame, which I think is really helpful. Stop that for now. So great information here. We right click. Let's look at the log. Here we show all the log information: submitted, started, ended OK, shout to EM, removed from active job file. Close that. And then if we want to look at the output, right click and do output. If you're already in it, you can just click here along the top, but I wanted to show you how to get directly to it. If this is a cyclic file, then you drop this down and you will have more options here to view, and I'll show you that on the other file here in just a second, or the other job, sorry. Let's go right click and do log. This is much longer, as you can see, because log retention, and of course because it runs every 10 minutes throughout the whole day. So if there was something specific that you wanted to find in here, like you wanted to see every time that it started, you could type started in here and then use these navigation arrows to go down and find every time that the job started. Or if there was an error, you could type error and toggle through here to find it. If you need to save this to a local file so that you can parse it using something else, then, or just need it for any particular reason, click here to save to file.
Now I'll click on output up here to see the information for the cyclic job. In this case, I know the output for every run is the same, but if we click up here on this drop down, we can see there's an entry generated for every time the job ran yesterday. So if we want to view the output of a particular run, we would just select it from that drop down menu. Here we have the search field and the navigation buttons for toggling through the search results. You also have the option here to choose a different font if that's something you'd like to do. Just choose that there. You also have the option to save the output as well. So let's go ahead and close this out for now.
Okay, now before we end the demo, let's go back here, close that, and we can see these 3 viewpoints available. If you want to adjust the number of days shown here, we can go into the CCM real quick and make that change. Let's see how that's done. Here's my configuration manager. I already have Control M, Enterprise Manager, selected there. So we're going to right click and select System Parameters. And then over here, we're going to click on Advanced. Once that comes up, I'm going to click in the name and type max old. Let me expand this out so you can see everything. So as you can see, the max old day is the downloads are kept in the Control M EM database for not more than the number of days specified in this parameter. The default value is 2, and I have mine set to 3. It's important to note that any changes you make or any increases will affect your database size. So it will get larger for every day that you add in there. So just keep that in mind when you're doing that. The max old total is the number of downloads that can be stored in the Control M EM database. Default value is 4. I have mine set to 5. Now the difference between these two is if you've already got your run for the day, and then something happens and you've got to recycle the server and it loads the jobs again. So you'll have 2 downloads for the same day. And that's why I have it increased by more than what the actual max old day parameter is. All right. If you want to change either of these, click right there make the change right here and click Save. Leaving it there. I'm going to close that out. Something else that's really good to look at here, let's right click on our server, the Control M server, go back down to System Parameters. I cheated a little bit and I already have this in the IOALO-GLM. It's the maximum days retained by the Control M log. Now it's the default value set to 2, and that's what I have mine set to. I have a bit of a concern here because my max old day is set to 3. So I'm hoping that I'm not missing information there. But we're going to go back and look at it here in just a moment. The other is output. This one. Max days to retain output files. The default value is 1. I have my value set to 1. And as you can see, that may also cause an issue with my stuff because I am probably not capturing output from all 3 days that I have my max old day retention set to. So let's close out of here and see how that may be affecting my system real quick. Here we are back in the Enterprise Manager. I'm going to click on the day before yesterday. Expand these. And I'm just going to right click on the top and go to log. So we have log information, which is good. Go to the output. No available output. Let's close this out. Go to 2 days ago. Expand all. Click log. See, the only log output there is from it being removed from the active job. There's no job run information there. Just selecting output because there's only one day selected for that. We have no output. Let me close. As you can see, that's really important to have match. So now that really sums up everything here for the Enterprise Manager for now. Let's go over to the web interface and see how that looks. It's important to note that we require Workload Change Manager for the planning domain to work and self-service for the monitoring domain to work. So both of those have to be installed on your system for the pieces of the web interface to work. We have information on how to accomplish this if you need to perform either of these actions on your own system. So first, let's go to the monitoring domain. My viewpoint here, but if you need to create one, if it's all empty, you'll click Add Viewpoint, put an asterisk here in the server and do Open, and it will bring your workflow, job flow up. History. Now we can see the last 3 days are available, so I'm going to click on Yesterday. Right. It's a little different here on the web. We do have a zoom slider, so if you have a bunch of work, you can zoom in like that. The grouping is just basically to change the viewpoint there, like that. And then, of course, we have tile view and list view. The list looks exactly like this. You can sort it by just clicking on the actual fields, like that, or click on this and add a filter. Also, if you want to look at the information on the job, click on the job. You get the summary over here, settings with scheduling and everything. You can get your log information.
We can click on Output to view that information, as well as the job statistics located here. Go back to the summary.
We don't have the playback option on the web. Currently, that is only in the client. But essentially, you can go in and still look and see how these jobs perform and find the information from the log and even export that information should you need to do so. This concludes my part of the demonstration. Thank you so much for your time. I hope you found the information helpful. And I'll go ahead and pass you back to Melvin at this time. Have a great day.
Thank you, Brooks, for showing us how to use the history domain effectively to monitor or investigate historical job workflow in a control M environment. Next, we have John, who's going to demonstrate job versions history in Control M and how to compare changes made in a job definition over time. Please go ahead, John.
Thanks for the introduction. We are now going to talk about versioning. Versioning has been around for a few versions and it is not a new feature. Versioning is accessed through the domain planning. Let's say that a user contacted us and have requested to see what has changed in the job check report from the folder process report. I am going to load that folder, select it and open it, and I am going to check it out in case we need to do any restore. I am now going to select the job that customer asks us to verify, and there is two ways of checking the versions of the job. You can either go on the menu and click on Analysis and show all versions, which open this window, or if I close this, you can right-click on the job itself and show history. As you can see, that opens exactly the same window. You can customize that window with a little more information. So I am going to expand the window like this and right-click on the header and go for Show Column Chooser. And you can see some more options to display, and I am going to select a few of them. I'm going to select who created that job and when it was created. Then I am going to select who modified the job and when it was modified. And close the column chooser, and you can see that now I have the definition user which doesn't change per version, and I have the version user which might or might not change depending on if the same person is doing the change. Now, to see what has changed between different versions, you're just going to select two of those versions. So the user asking me what has changed between the current version and the version before, I select the two latest versions and click on Compare. When you click on Compare, you first want to expand the version so you can see which version is displayed. So that's the current version, version 15, and the previous version. And you have the different fields from the job, but if you click on Show Only Changes, that will show you what has changed between the different versions. And we can see that the command line has changed between the two versions. You might have noticed the export button here. So if I click on it, I will be able to save a report of the comparison between the versions. So if I save and then open the save report, you can see that you get the job comparison reports, you get the time and the date, and you can see the differences that were found between the jobs. So the new command line causing problem, I am going to restore the version. You first need to close this and then click on the version, and you can click either on restore directly or edit and restore if you want to check the job definition itself. So we click on edit and restore, we verify that this time we have the right command, and we are going to click on restore and restore this version. We are now going to close the job history window, and you notice that the job has been restored and an icon signify it is new. In addition, we have a request from a user to check on the job week 2 in the folder monthly report. The job has not run yet, and we are going to check by opening a new tab, loading the jobs and folder. I already pre-filtered my folders, and loading monthly report. Let's open. And we can see that the job week 2 is not there, which is probably the reason why it did not load and run. So to resolve that, I am going to check and go to Tools, Version. I am going to select Control Server. I am going to select the folder monthly report. And you also notice the date here, and I'm going to select all the change since the beginning of the month, and I'm going to leave the time together. And I'm going to click on Apply. I can see that the job was deleted, and to restore it, I just need to select it and click on Restore and close, and we can see that the job has been restored to my workspace, and I will just need to check it in to add it to the folder. So it's all checked in now, and I'm going to close this, and if I load that folder again, monthly reports, open, I can see that now the folder is complete and the job week 2 is part of it. Let's switch to the configuration manager, and lastly, I would like to show you the parameter used to adjust the number of versions you might want to keep. So select your Control MEM, System Parameters, go to Advanced. I'm going to enlarge the window so we see a little more. And the parameter is VM versions number to keep. You can see that by default it's set to 2, and I increase the value to keep 5 version. Also notice that the refresh type is manual, which means you need to refresh the GUI server in order to keep the version active. And I'm now going to thank you for watching, and I'm back as the presentation to Melvin.
Thank you, John, for giving us that insight into job versions history and how to take advantage of it when necessary. That concludes our session for today. On behalf of Alex, Brooks, and John, and the entire Connect with Control team, thank you for spending some time with us today. We look forward to you taking advantage of features that we saw today in your environment. Stick around for the Q&A session where we will take your questions. But first, you can learn more about the BMC education course, Control Fundamentals Operating, by clicking the link in the link section below, or you can visit the bit.ly link you see on the screen here. Your feedback shapes our future webinars. We would appreciate if you will take a moment and answer a few questions for us in the questions section below during the Q&A session. Please let us know if you will use what you learned today in your business processes, rate the webinar, provide any comments, and lastly, tell us about any topics you would like us to cover in the future webinars. You can find Control-M on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, and YouTube. Links for each can be found in the links section below. You can watch previous webinars on the Control-M channel on YouTube. Today's webinar will be posted there within a couple of days. Let's go to our Q&A session.